Okay, welcome back to the February edition of HeroC Podcast. I want to thank everyone for tuning back in. It's been an interesting beginning of the year with January. Slow moving for some. We're just hanging around. We're moving forward with everything else. So it's beginning to look a lot like there's a lot of activity going on. Especially for the studio and for different conventions and trade shows around the month. It's here in Georgia, especially online, but the looks like film and television is really taking the prominence when it comes to the industry. So let's just jump right into it. Don't have any guests this week. So it's going to be just kind of cut and dry. If I'm going to report the news, like the news, with the news, for the news. So 2016 is a leap year, so everyone needs to mark that on their calendar. Don't forget there is a 29th day this month. That definitely throws a monkey into the wrench when you're looking at your calendar, trying to figure out what days things are happening. The number one item also is the Hero Central Studio newsletter for February is now available for download over at www.herocentral.org, highlighting special days like Groundhog's Day, World Radio Day, and Mardi Gras listed there on the actual calendar. Conventions like SationCon and AcroCon, and even the Super Bowl Sunday Fun event over in Decatur at the Marriott for Super Bowl Sunday is listed. Events also mentioned on the secondary page includes things like The Beauty and the Beast, the musical of the Fox Theater downtown. So check out the newsletter and see what's up and where you might find us floating around Georgia. Second item is on 1/26/16. We have to note that was the 90th anniversary of the invention of the television. So we missed a profound statement here in the market technology in the beginning. The first face, as a note of trivia, the first face on TV was Stooky Bill, when John L. Baird streamed the images across his first prototype of the TV. Stooky Bill was a mannequin head, a puppet, that had the highest contrast in order for the electrical images to transmit that contrasted face to be seen for it to be received as radio waves and then reassembled as electronic signals fired across the screen. So if anyone's ever asked who was the first person on television, the answer is Stooky Bill. So there you go, trivia buff. Third thing, Facebook updates. There is a viral video going around of martial arts nuns. Yeah, I know. They're dressed in their full habits, and they are practicing their katas, and then they go through the routines of breaking boards and everything. It's the joke. It was over hintmag.com, hintmag.com. There's a big joke about the manga warrior nun Ariellas from Antarctic Press suddenly coming true. So check that out. It's a bit much to see that actually moving forward. So you get a kick out of that. Okay, right on into the 5 C's. We're going to deal with character, we're going to deal with creativity, we're going to deal with comics, connections, and culture. So, character, we have a Doctor Who update. Current lead writer and showrunner Stephen Moffat will be stepping down in 2017. Chris Chibnall, fellow director and writer, will be taking over. There will be a 2016 delay for more of Doctor Who episodes, except for the Xmas special. Then 2017 season will start. That's pretty much their decision, and it's been put out. Now that's what they've been telling everybody on Facebook, and they've been posting it on the Doctor Who Hub. So we're going to see. I guess it's time for a lot of things to come to a close and to move on to the next, leader and the protector of the guard. So we'll see how Chris does. Chris actually wrote the episode with Matt Smith, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. So we know he's got some Doctor Who background under his belt. But let's just see how he takes over as the showrunner and lead writer. A side note, though, for all of those fans in the U.S., Netflix, as of February 2016, Netflix in the U.S. will not be streaming Doctor Who series, Eccleston to present. The UK and Canada versions will still stream the BBC show, who cited loss and cost of issues of negotiations against the BBC annual operational deficit as the reason to not to be able to afford streaming it here in the U.S. So if you have a complaint, concern, or don't get BBC America, you better start sending in your messages now. Maybe they can save Doctor Who on Netflix for the U.S. Okay, on to the next subheading, comics. The big focus on comics really this time is DC and Hanna-Barbera. They're going to be releasing the joint comic ventures called Future Quest. The stories of revamped characters like Scooby-Doo, Johnny Quest, Herculoids, Space Ghost, and the Terrific Trio will all be revamped and drawn by different artists from DC, telling the new adventures in a more formatted display, a lot like what they did with Archie Comics. You can check out the Jim Lee. He drew the promo poster that's floating around on the web just as the section. So you check out that. It looks really cool. I personally am waiting to see the Herculoids. I want to see them in full new Jim Lee regalia. It's going to be pretty cool. Next item with comics, Walmart has been in talks with Diamond Distributions to start a dedicated section of manga and graphic novels in their stores. So one more thing that comic shops could lose due to saturation is Walmart, being a big mega chain, having a dedicated section. It's going to pull people out of the comic shops when you've got them right down the road next to your milk and cookies and your home gear and in your pharmacies and your electronics, and oh wow, there's an entire section of graphic novels. I mean, so I'm not sure how. I think the jury's going to be out on this, but I know that my friends like Sean Taylor and over at Galactic Quest, they're not happy with this decision going forward because it does affect their jobs and their stores and people coming in, even on any level. It can affect the local comic book shop owners. So please support your locals. Until we see how this pans out. Okay, the next section. I want to give a shout out to a simple piece of art equipment. Okay, and that's the ruler. Okay, never underestimate the power of a ruler. Okay, a ruler is a stationary item and drafting tool used when drawing lines as a guide for cutting and for various other uses. It's available in different shapes and materials, depending on the types of lines the user wishes to draw. Some rulers have measurement gradations and can be used for measuring lengths. In general, those used for drawing lines and as cutting-edge guides are referred to as straight edges, and those used for taking measurements, rulers. Okay, so commonly used rulers include the straight edge for drawing straight lines and the straight and set square. When the two set squares are used in combination, they can be used to draw horizontal and perpendicular lines. Okay, that's where you get your perspectives. Okay, so all artists need to know, hey, don't be afraid to pick up the ruler. Draw the horizon line, draw your vanishing points, build your 2-point perspectives, your 3-point perspectives, your 4-point perspectives, everything. It needs to be utilized. Don't be afraid to pick up a ruler. There's no shame in picking up straight edge. Okay? Although used less frequently in recent years when drafting, a T-square is used when set squares on the drafting board to draw parallel and perpendicular lines. Another drafting instrument is the dashed line ruler for drawing dotted lines or broken lines, but this is rarely used in ordinary settings. The French curve and adjustable ruler are special tools for drawing curved lines. Some rulers have cut-out circles, ellipses, text, symbols, and shapes on them. Those template rulers are amazingly perfect to help you if you don't have You need an actual circle of different size. Trust me, use them. Don't be afraid. Very rarely can people draw free-handed a perfect circle. It's very difficult. I can't even do a perfect circle, okay, as an artist. So trust me, if you have to, grab a small cup, grab something that's a straight edge, find the size that you need, then diameter. Make sure it's the right length. Don't be afraid to use it, because the computer uses the tools when you're dealing with Photoshop. Okay, and you've got your circles. You can drag and pull your vectors. Okay, so don't be afraid to go back to old school and grab, a template ruler with circle cutouts and use that. Okay, the L-shaped carpenter square is a typical Japanese carpenter's tool used for checking right angles, drawing lines, or various other purposes. So you could possibly use that if you happen to be around your Home Depot. Another tool for ensuring consistency is the protractor, used to measure angles. In this way, there are countless types and uses for what we simply call the ruler. Rulers can be purchased at any stores selling drafting tools, art supplies stores, shops, and DIY stores. You can get it anywhere. It's not hard to get a ruler or a straight edge, so don't be afraid of it. Okay, connections. Talk about CW. CW is definitely is kicking it out of the water. CW TV series based on DC characters are finally going strong. The Flash, January retreated to the underlying drama in this new season of Rogue Gallery villains from the comics. The Turtle is a great one to show how contrasted the encounters are, with the Flash having been pitted against the likes of Grodd or King Shark. We'll get to see him go against Killer Frost and Deathstorm when Barry crosses over into Earth 2 for more angst against Zoom. So hopefully Flash from Earth 2, Jay Garrick, will get his speed force back and be able to avert his cellular death. So you guys go, you're doing strong with Flash. It's really good. Keep up the good work. Keep us involved, because we like the show. We like the character. The next thing, Legends of Tomorrow. For those who don't know, this has been a lot of fanboy fun with this mashup of heroes and villains striving for the deliverance of the future from the immortal Vandal Savage. If you haven't seen it yet, do so. Arthur Darvill from Doctor Who has been doing a great job as Captain Rip Hunter, a member of the Time Masters from 2166. Watch out for subtle plot elements in the series, like Gideon, the AI aboard the time ship Wave Rider, is linked to the Reverse Flash in his suit in its AI back in Flash on CW. That was also named Gideon, so there's got to be a connection there. I'm glad that the writers also don't weigh down the show with extreme temporal paradoxical rules. For the most part, my personal one is where you don't implode when you're meeting yourself from another timeline. Thank you very much, Time Cop. That would be a very messy showstopper. So be careful. That's also a spoiler for the last week's reference in that part. So you guys keep it up at CW. You're doing a good job. Okay, the last element is culture. Chris Carter and Fox has successfully returned X-Files to us. The pilot and the first miniseries episode with Scully and Mulder have been phenomenal. Like a warm blanket, we've been able to pull up the X-Files mythos back over our head and just absorb everything. With Mitch Pileggi still at the helm and newcomers like Joel McHale's webcasting extremist, we find yet another layer of lies peeled away to reveal more things the world isn't ready to accept. Kudos to you guys. I love seeing Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny reprise their sci-fi personas to lead us down the long haul of unsolved X-Files. I think it's going to be a great recuperating and recovering without a reboot. I love the fact that this is not a reboot of the X-Files. It is just the modern, hey, we've been out for 14 years. We're still hiding. We're still doing our jobs. We're still working. Unfortunately, X-Files keep continuing and lies never stop and discovery still happens. So, Chris Carter, keep up the good job. You guys are doing a great job. I really look forward to the next episode of X-Files. Well, that's it for another HeroC podcast. I want to thank everybody for paying attention, and if not ignoring us, still you've downloaded the podcast. If you have any comments, concerns, or questions, email us at herocentralstudio@gmail.com, and we will reply. Worse, we may even contact you to get on the show to defend your opinion, so you better be careful what you send us. Ciao.